right, back at it. Welcome to another random recap, a little quick recap of MTV's The Challenge on Paramount Plus. Love the old school texture. I say that all the time. Recapping it solo, so it's gonna be real quick, in and out, easy. We're just gonna talk about the stuff we saw on the show, and sometimes I give a little opinion. Oh, sounds like somebody just dinged real quick and left me a message. We'll figure that one out later. But let's talk about this. Episode 7 to me, it does feel like the halfway point. Like we're not the halfway point, but we know we're getting to the end. As I said previously, that it was so many contestants. I was like, when are they going to whittle these people down? And now we're like getting to that point where you start looking at things like, oh gosh, who can really win this? And can I get to the final? You know, people like Anissa never got to the final for so many years. It's like you're just waiting. Like, I want this, I want this, I want this. So I think the shift in the energy changes when people get to this halfway point is what I feel. Songs. As I said, everyone who does these challenge recaps, sometimes they're like my brother, my brother Richard, who does the Challenge Allstars recaps with me on several occasions, just not these last couple episodes. But they like more like almost like a sports, like strategic, like, no, the way I do them. Well, when my brother joins me, he takes care of that. I take care of the stuff that moves me, that moves my soul. And, What About Your Friends by TLC playing was another fantastic scored song inserted into the show. I liked it. TLC, What About Your Friends was a great song back in the early 90s. And so, like, all of these contestants are of that age. They're anywhere from 36, 35 to Mark is like almost 50. And so this is of the time, and it just puts a smile on my face as a viewer. So again, two things I think the Challenge All-Stars should do is they should continue to just be so fierce with their music selections, and then also not just the selections, but like when they're being used in the show. So like really make it pop. And the other one is I don't know. They should add me in some way, somehow. I think I should interview each cast member. That should be the thing. But I'm just gonna wish that to my success. Okay, let's get to the shit, right? Mark is back. He did take on Letarian. I think this gave him that chutzpah. This is kind of why they played the "What About Your Friends" song. He felt like connected with everybody. It was a well fought, lots of determination type of elimination. And I think everyone gave a lot of effort. And I think that's another momentum shift, is because when you see a really great elimination where you have your favorites but would sort of be okay with each person going home or each person staying, I think that's what's good for the show. So I think that's kind of where I feel like we're at right now with episode 7. And my question from last episode is, what is Kendall's beef? Like, I don't know, what is her beef? Like, what does she, like, not her beef, but like, why is she off-putting to others? Hisella said stuff, Mark said stuff, other people have said stuff. What is it? What are we not seeing? Like, I worry that we see a perfectly coiffed, is that how you say that word? Presentation, and then maybe she's like not that person in real life. You get a lot of those people on reality TV, but I'm not saying that's her. I just want to know where she's rubbing people the wrong way, because it's like more than one person has said it. I like the moment where Derek of the Great Challenge Mania podcast, and also Great Challenge, boy, talk about credibility. He is the challenge, I like that he feels that he has something to prove. Now, this is a guy that has a fan base by talking about the challenge, so he could let his ego ruin that, and be so egotistical, like, oh, I'm further along, and I got more of a fan base, or what? I guess, like, I'm in it, I guess you could say. And he could also have an ego because he's done so well in all the challenges. But yet here with those two attributes, he's like, no, I actually have something to prove. And I think a lot of it is like him thinking about his future, and like I think he's newly married, stuff of that nature. I believe that was divorce first and then marriage. I don't listen to all the Challenge Manias, but I'm very familiar with the show. But again, this is what makes a great banter, or not banter, but great television, is that somebody who is like A guy like Derek is invited to the show for some of the reasons I just mentioned, and yet he's being more humble than people that, quite frankly, weren't necessarily important to being brought to this show. So that was good. And it might have just been another way for him to be relatable. You know, it might have been that he feels he has something to prove. He feels this. I have something to prove. And so he makes sure that he respects the process here and respects the space. Because, you know, it is as simple as you get older, you may not get casted for a long time. Like, you know, none of this is guaranteed. I think that's what maybe he was saying. He's done challenges when he was younger, and then you get older, you don't do as many. He did, I was referencing my brother, Richard, who's a huge, like I said, huge challenge super fan who will do the episode 8 and 9 with me. You know, I think Derek had previous podcasts, you know, and so this one, the one he has now, Challenge Mania, is winning. But it's like, I think when you go through all these little hiccups, you know, the divorce and it makes for like a better human being, because you went through things and your ego's in check, you know. Ego's a good thing because you should be confident as all shit, but ego is also a good thing to be like, I'm just happy to be in a space that's not a guarantee. Therefore, I'm going to kick ass. And that's what he did. I mean, that's what he always does. That's Derek. That's Derek for you, right? I think he's around 37 years old, so he's in a really good age bracket to do a couple more Challenge All-Stars. Maybe put him in the regular show. Who knows? I don't know. I kind of feel like him, Darrell, some of these older guys can still, like, you know, hang with the best of them, of the new guys, you know. Them against Fessy, I kind of take them over Fessy. I'm just kidding. Oh my God, imagine when CT comes to the Challenge All-Stars. Now that's going to be something. Imagine him coming to the Challenge All-Stars with Adam. Oh my goodness. It's too much. I can't handle it. Oh, I feel like I have to burp just to think about it. Okay, finish my burp. So let's see. Where am I here? I did mention a second ago how the house now sees Kendall. What I am, I of course was wondering where people have a beef with her, but I also now am like, I think like Kellyanne speaks of it, like, oh, people need to really start to see that she is a competitor. I think that's cool, but there's this certain, I feel like it's always edited in every type of reality show, this character that like is not they're not like counted as or they're not looked at as a threat. And while I guess that's fine, it's always this like, you get to this point where like all of a sudden them and a couple of their people that support them are like, oh, see, you underestimated. It's like, so what? If I go into a space and I'm the lesser person, but as far as your thought process and I'm dope as shit, that like I just would hope that the producers and the editor, the person editing the show, story producer, wouldn't like draw out this line like, oh, so Ronnie, you know, the producer asking you the question and you have to do the confessional. How do you feel about being underestimated? I would say I don't give two shits. Like, if you underestimated me, that's better for me. Like, I don't need you to give a shit if I'm great. I mean, I guess to a degree, a tiny, small degree, it is valuable because you do potentially get, you get a chance to be put up more if you're not looked at in a strong way. Like Big Easy for the guys always kind of gets looked at. So to that degree, yes. But I'm only saying that I've seen, because I watch a lot of reality shows, and a couple of competition reality shows at that, and there's this same thing, like, and then it's like the person looks right in the camera and says, you see, they shouldn't have underestimated me. And my thought is like, so what? Who cares? Like, underestimate Ronnie all you want. As long as I am getting paid and I am doing what I know how to do, I don't give a shit if anyone thinks I'm good or whatever, based on what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Just something that like irks me to a degree. Oh, Kendall was underestimated, and oh, we should have really thought twice before thinking she was weak. Wah, 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 wah. Crying. I'm crying. This is a visualization of a cry. It's just a silly to me, and I need to be proved otherwise wrong. I mean, as far as like if there's a compelling argument, like this is a comment-worthy thing. Like if you think I'm off base to say that, I would love to hear the other viewpoint because maybe there's something I'm missing. But again, I'm thinking, Ronnie, I'm gonna put it in my own mindset. Ronnie, you're invited to a space. You're invited to compete for something. No one thinks you're great at it. Well, who cares? I don't. As as long as I win, it's my job to win. I don't care what people how they view that. Do I? Do I? I don't know. But maybe I'm just saying this because now got a lot of thoughts in my head here. Maybe I'm just saying this because Kendall is interesting because I don't like meek players. I like humble players, but I don't like this portrayed meekness. Like, oh, I wouldn't hurt a fly. And then yet you've got cast members. Hisella has said stuff. Mark has said stuff. Really, just Kellyanne is the only one who's really supported Kendall. So it's like a lot of people don't like her, but then you're portraying this meek, like, oh, I one thing I don't have good tolerance for is the phoniness of it. So I'm not saying Kendall's phony, but I need to get to the bottom of why somebody who could be edited so warm and I'm just here could be off-putting to so many people. That's a question. That is a valuable question. I think I'm right to be saying that. I feel like I go on a tangent on this forever. And which will either conclude my viewpoint stronger or totally mess it up. So I'm going to stop and we'll revisit it later. I'll chat with my brother about it because he really follows the challenge in other ways that I don't sometimes see. So that's really good. And we'll join up later on episode 8 and 9 recaps of Challenge All-Star Season 1 and hopefully more to come as well. Real quick. So again, that's my big question. How the house sees Kendall. Evidently she's not as meek as everyone thought. So what? Moving on. But also, good job, Kendall. Hisella and Anissa, they have a friendship and have had a friendship. And I don't want to see the friendship go. And I don't think we always get what we want, right? So let's just kind of be aware of Hisella and Anissa. Oh, real quick. Can we stop for a minute? Because I need to talk about when Hisella and Anissa are bonding, and they're totally like in a good little friendship space. But while they're doing that, the guys are jogging and sort of like training or whatever. And while they start hitting the corner, it's about 4 or 5 of them. The song again with the scored music so properly done. Because one thing I'll say that I don't like, I know I sound redundant, but you're just going to have to get used to it. One thing that I don't like is a really, 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 really good song improperly placed. Oh, it just drives me to the moon and back. Like a song so good, and then you just didn't use it at the right time. Oh, or the worst is an obvious song, like you use just the words right when somebody says the word. I don't know. We need a little bit more creativity. But I will say, when Anissa and Hisella were talking, they're having their friendship bond, and the guys start jogging, and they kind of, there's like a moment, and the little slow motion effect, and the song is, oh my goodness, for the 1998 people, I love this, is KP and Envy is the group, Shorty Swing My Way. And I guess it ends up being a thing of like, talking about the guys and their dad bods, which by the way, like, no, they're all in great shape. Like, what are you talking about? We rush to be old. Like, these guys are in great shape. They don't have dad bods per se, and they're exercising. So really, no. But the song, Shorty Swing My Way. Oh my, when I tell you 1998 was a year for me. So that was very good. Very good. I liked it. It was fun. It was funny. Again, I like, when I watch challenge, I like to see the fun stuff. I like to see the challenge stuff. I like to see the mental gameplay, but any like goofy, moments like this are cool too. And, but again, let's talk. Oh my gosh, Anissa and Hisella, so close. What could go wrong? Dun, 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 dun. We have a TJ dramatic entrance, on the truck. And don't mind it. Sometimes I'm like, oh, there goes the budget again for TJ, and for TJ, period, end of sentence. TJ with the I wonder sometimes how much they pay the contestants and how much they pay TJ and his special effects. It's like, give the cast who are doing the most asinine, challenging, almost like death-defying stunts, and then TJ get all the money. Oh, what it must, TJ, he's earned it though. Anyways, dramatic entrance. He's on the truck, and we find out that again, another change, another twist. This one I could handle. This was good. That now they're going to be playing as individuals. There's no teams, and I enjoy that. I thought it was a good time. As I said at the beginning of this episode here, it's like the midway point. The energy has shifted. Like I said, Mark came off that big win. Everyone's starting to look at like, oh, the finals coming up. So I thought that was okay. No teams. You're responsible for yourself. I think I like it here. Here, it was a good point. Oh, real quick. Speaking on the truck. So we have these beams, and then the goal is to like retrieve the ball and then do this 4 times. That's the goal. And, not saying that everyone is necessarily going to do that, but that is like what needs to be done. I thought it was a pretty challenging challenge. I guess challenges should be challenging, but I wonder, like, the hard thing about challenges, you're never allowed to critique it. You're never allowed to say like, well, damn, that may not work. But how about you got a little tiny body? Like, how are you going to physically, shouldn't it be, I mean, I guess there's no way to do it. The spacing for a guy like Mark, who's so huge, tall, legs, arms, everything, he can maneuver. And then you got these, very little bodied, some of these contestants, and they got to do the same thing. So again, in challenge world, you're not ever supposed to say it's too challenging, because that's like the whole nature of the game. But I just felt like, oh, I like this one, but dang, I'd hate to be, under 5'7" or whatever. But okay. See, I'll say it, but then I'll also contradict just to allow, maybe if you're agile, that's a benefit too, because just because you're tall, you might not be agile with said large body. Like, I don't know. It's confusing. Anyways, let's talk about this. And TJ says that the final is close, which we all get. We know that it's coming up. We don't know if it's right away, but we know that it's basically on the way. So we see right off the bat that Hisella and Anissa are struggling. I think this is the moment where Derek says like, oh, normally when we watch a challenge, we see like the how-tos and the what-to-dos, but not this time. It was like a shady comment that wasn't shady at all. But so that kind of goes not great, the first one. And, again, this challenge, it can be hard. I don't know how tall Hisella is. Like, how is she supposed to, you need a lanky body to do this challenge, kind of, right? I think. I don't know. Well, anyway, you got Derek and Nehemiah. They step it up. Nehemiah, he's so focused at this time. I like where he wants to go. Again, we talk about like he wants to be sort of in that same talking point as good as Wes or whatever. Wes is somebody he started this whole thing with. So I like where he's going directionally, and he did well. So there it is. Ruthie almost falls, and Ruthie almost falls. I think Yes almost falls. I didn't necessarily consider this heights, but Darrell is scared of heights, and and this is as reported by Hisella and Derek. Again, these little moments where they turn to them being the commentators of the challenge. I just thought that was cute. And a lot of people knock Hisella for being not so physically fit, but I think she holds her value in moments like that. Like, you got somebody like Derek who's so in tune and so credible in this, and I think people forget, in my opinion, that there's a value in so many different ways to do the challenge. It's not just like the physical. It's the physical. It's the mental. It's the mental as far as being strong. It's, I wouldn't say like manipulation, but it's being able to command attention. So, kind of like the antithesis of Arissa being so by herself. Well, if you're by yourself, you may not get the votes. Hisella, she might get the votes, even if she maybe doesn't earn them or deserve them for one particular challenge, but because she's in on the jokes, because she's making light and goofy and enjoying and funny and warm and loving, I think like that has to add to something. And I only mentioned that because that was the only moment all season thus far that they did like that silly cutaway. So it to me, it is saying that Hisella absolutely is walking into that house, and she's charming everybody with her humor, with her warmth, with her funny demeanor. And I do think that goes a long way. I only say that to say I've thought in the past, like, oh, if I ever did the show Big Brother, like that's a show I've auditioned for many times, or sent a casting tape. One season I went sort of a couple rounds, but nonetheless didn't ever get casted. But my point is, you start to think of like, okay, well, if I'm doing a challenge and it's a huge physical one, how am I gonna do? Dang, maybe I'm not that strong, but boom, where can I pick up? And I remember saying, well, one of my gifts is I could charm the room, you know? And that's all I'm saying is Hisella can charm the room, and it is notable when you see Hisella and Derek having fun and them doing this little cutaway. That's just kind of like a little point that I saw, that she always makes her presence very valuable. You know, whereas if I did as bad as she did on that challenge, I would have been tucking my tail and being quiet in the corner, not saying nothing to nobody. So there's just something there. I know if you're looking at it linearly as like, oh, was she good? No, she did not do good in that challenge, but she made her presence known. I think that does help. That's all I'm saying. And I had to back that up with other viewpoints because I know not everyone agrees. I like her. She's great. And I like Derek too, so that was funny to me. But they do mention that Darrell is afraid of heights, and it's just a challenge that no one's really doing good, honestly. I mean, if Yes almost falls, Ruthie almost falls, and Darrell's afraid of heights, these are generally pretty good competitors, and they're all having a bit of a challenge. Wait a minute for a moment. So another song I really like is New Kids on the Block, Step by Step. I do think this was placed possibly even a little bit corny because it was like as they were taking a step. So I was like, But I will say it's a good music video. Mark Wahlberg's even in the music video. A young Mark Wahlberg's in the music video. Some elements of it's videoed both in color and also in black and white. It's just cool. It's a cheesy song, kinda, but it's like 80s pop music to like the ninth power. So, step by step, ooh, baby, gotta get to you, girl. It's great, and it's step 1, we can have lots of fun. Step 2, it's just me and you. It's a good song. So, I was, like, into it, but I was also like, oh, I don't know if it was, like, placed as good as maybe some of the other ones that I stopped down to talk about, but I still liked it. And I was glad it was used. Let's move on to who did do good. Kellyanne does do well. Janae, she has the heart, she has the dedication, which seems to be something we're seeing a lot from her, right? Like she, as you look throughout the show, this is now episode 7, 7, we're getting a lot of dedication from Janae, so I like that. But anyways, Kellyanne does do well, so that's good. That keeps Kellyanne in a really strong, like, one to watch kind of a thing, which is good for her, you know? It comes down to Kendall and Mark. It's so funny. They're always like put together, right? Or, I mean, in theory. And Mark does very, very, very well. He's knocking Derek out of the top spot. Bit of a surprise there, but good for him. In the bottom, though, is easily Hisella and Big Easy, which, oof, that is going to be a tough one. So, in the bottom, Hisella and Big Easy. Our winners, who are going to go straight to the final, are Kellyanne and Mark. I think everything about that worked out exactly as it should. Kudos to Kellyanne. Kudos to Mark. I was like, oh no, Big Easy and Hisella, like, you know, that's a tough one because, you know, they struggle a bit, and I don't think that they're players that people want to take to the final. You know, you always get those talks early on, like, oh, is that somebody we want to take to the final? I don't know how many times they've said about Big Easy, oh, but let's vote him out now because we don't want to take him to the final. In fact, some people use that as a talking point so they don't get voted in. Like if it's a guy's day, you know, one of the guys can mention, oh, I don't want to take Big Easy to the final, or you know, whoever they're talking to, oh, you don't want to take Big Easy to the final because then you're gonna, you know, it's gonna be a hindrance on your potential win. So it's just, I guess I felt bad. I was like, oh man, Big Easy as in the bottom. This is, of course, not good, because it's gonna make it I don't know. I just feel like you have to be tired at some point. But also, he's in the bottom, so he's got to own that too, right? May we talk about voting and deliberation? So Big Easy. Oh, this was fun. This was actually really fun. I think Big Easy is a fun character. I like a show where I like both people that are arguing. I like a show where I'm like, oh, I like Nehemiah and where his shit talking lies, but I also like Big Easy also shit talking. Like, and I can see both sides. That's what makes a great cast, actually. So we've got Big Easy, who's like, I want Nehemiah. And Anissa worries she'll be chosen by most of them. So like Anissa has this thing where she's like, well, damn, Kellyanne's going on to the final, and if I'm chosen, or based on which guy goes in, Anissa's going to be the girl that goes, and that's tough. I do think that is a bit difficult, and that can sort of become a hindrance on like who she aligns with, who she votes, which could be interesting if Hisella says that she thinks it should be the fairest way, which would be a newbie. So Hisella, who always has strong talking points and great at asserting her opinion and being good at conviction too, I will say, she's saying it's got to be somebody who's a newbie. Like that's kind of the best route. That's what she wants. But again, I did mention that Anissa has her oh no, they're gonna get me, because I'm a good competitor, I suppose, is maybe where she's coming from. This is fun. Deliberation. So there's talks of the elimination being the newbies that should be going in. Newbies meaning not new. Well, no one's a newbie, but have not seen the elimination. Darrell and Yes are sort of up there as well. So in the deliberation, Yes is very wordy. He's very smart, and I think he managed to evoke a little bit of guilt. Guilt like that pushed away from him. And honestly, that's kind of the best bet. I think I mentioned it earlier how like, oh gosh, if I'm ever in a competition like this, and maybe my physical, I'm not saying Yes is insanely physical, but I'm saying like for me, if there's something I'm not strong at, you have to get your other bits of skill set in there and maneuver and not manipulate, but maneuver and plant mental seeds in people's minds, to keep you away. And I think being wordy, being intelligent, like creating that aspect of guilt to, what would happen if you choose him, what would happen if you don't, and how this is going to play later. Like it gives a sense of like, this guy is so, Yes, is so like ahead of, like he's 6 steps ahead. So do you really want to make this decision? I thought that was very smart. Derek votes for Nehemiah, which I feel like it's just this fun competitive feud that's developing. Like, has one of them put the middle finger up to the other? I feel like that happened, right? Was it Nehemiah to Derek? It's just fun. It's just getting fun. Okay, so we kind of know what everyone wants. Like I said, Anissa's big worry off the top of even before the deliberation happens is she thinks she'll get chosen by most of the guys as an available person to go in. Hisella says that she wants it to be somebody who has not went in. But then anyways, so all that's going on. And then we get to the moment and Anissa votes for Nehemiah, which it does piss off a lot of people. So it's kind of like going against the game plan because it just is. And not everyone enjoys it. So, this is going to get fun, right? We still don't know why Anissa did that, really. Well, I guess you do. But anyway, she did it. I think she did what was best for her, and I guess you can't knock that, really. Just because other people want certain things that's best for them doesn't mean I have to do it if I'm the person who's making that final call. I just think it's so shady the way it's like edited to, or the way it was ordered, as far as the lineup, to make the vote, where she was the last one. It was like, oh my gosh, you're so dramatic. It's so dramatic, this show. Let's talk about the cast lounge, where everyone could kind of enjoy a drink and discuss votes and hopefully not get too mad. Oh, song again. The song that we're listening to when they get to the cast lounge is What Is Love by Hathaway, which is the Night at the Roxbury song. So that is fun. It's a great song. I just recently watched Night at the Roxbury, somewhat recently. Still holds up pretty good. Not the greatest, but holds up pretty good after all these years. I mean, that movie's over 20 years. Like, isn't it like 26 years ago? Maybe 30 years ago. I don't know. But it's not the greatest movie, but it is still very, very funny. My favorite part of Night at the Roxbury is when Chris Kattan is trying to get the credit card approval, and then he says, can I get an approval? And then she goes, the operator on the other side of the credit card company was like, well, I need a number. And he goes, not the card, sweetness, an approval on me. Oh, Chris Kattan was amazing in that movie. It was good. It was good. Anyways, Hadaway, What Is Love, Night at the Roxbury. That's how we like set up the cast lounge. Jemmy and Hisella have opinions, and they have a lot of opinions. I think they're just pissed. Well, Hisella was probably pissed because it went so far against what she wanted Anissa to do, and Jemmy is just quite a talker anyway, so that's actually very cool. It feels like Anissa is the top pick for the selected male competitor. Perhaps her vote of Nehemiah was based upon that. So I guess what I'm saying is I wonder that, like, did Anissa was Anissa's choice based on, this is where it gets so confusing to me. That's why I have a hard time. But I love the show. So what are you going to do, right? That's why we're talking. Did Anissa choose the person, like a Nehemiah, because, like, Nehemiah is like, oh, I'll do a solid, I won't bring you in? But then also that's not guaranteed either. So that's just what I don't know. But it is definitely making Hisella and Jimmy mad, and that will come to a head, of course. Real quick, though, Nehemiah and Big Easy, we've got a great flashback of the duel one where Easy sent Nehemiah home. I personally think Nehemiah was like a little bold and disrespectful with the way he was talking to Big Easy, and I think he was doing it like kind of the way like earlier Cyrus was like he was in the World Wrestling Federation, and I'm gonna tell you, Elton. And Elton just didn't really, he just kind of was like, whatever, dude. Whereas Nehemiah thought he was gonna talk a little trash, and he must have forgotten that Big Easy's he's not the one. So Big Easy, who just suddenly, as he was talking, began to be taller. He said, I think he cursed. I think I'll send your fucking ass home like I did on Duel 1. And I was like, oh my God, like, I think Big Easy has been ridiculed on this show for too many years. Somebody is going to get into a challenge with him, and he is going to annihilate them. Because Big Easy is, he's always in these challenges that, like, don't favor his skill set, but like there could be one that does. And he's also aggressive and ambitious as a person. He always references even just like growing up, like he's always not, he's never had like a strong financial situation growing up. So like he knows how to maneuver through the world in tougher conditions. Like he's very ready to win. He just never wins, But it just caught me off guard in a good way that Nehemiah thought he was going to say some tacky ass comment. But again, I like Nehemiah. This is what's great about the show. But Nehemiah thought he was going to just chip and chap and say, ba, 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 no problem. And Big Easy was like, there's a problem. This is what happened, and it's going to happen again. Damn, that was good. I think Nehemiah shut up after that. I don't know. It's kind of, it felt that way. Like I said, Nehemiah was bold, but like borderline disrespectful, but it's still okay, I guess. Real quick, so we have this moment where they're saying that Kendall is the Barbie beast. Again, if she's good, she's good. If she's not, she's not. This whole like, underestimating Kendall. If I was the editor of the show, I'd be like, that's fluff. Let's cut out the fat. Like, I don't mind seeing more of her. I think she's great, but how she's underestimated is just such a silly storyline to me. And on other shows they do that too, and I'm always like, wasting time. So okay, let's get to someone that other people feel that could be edited out, but I definitely don't feel this way. Hisella says, "Don't do me no favors, bitch," and she's referencing Anissa. So Hisella is ready to just draw that line in the sand. Like she feels she told her friend Anissa. Anissa did so far. She went so far from where the plan was, I suppose. And I think Hisella's viewpoint was like, well, this is what, in regards of like, we're friends. This is it just went far from the strategy, I think. And she's mad, and she's very mad. Hisella is thoroughly getting in her head, I think, when Hisella talks to Anissa, I think the smartest move for Hisella is she's going in no matter what, right? Anissa may go in based on if Nehemiah brings her. Where Hisella is smart, it sucks because the friendship is now lying in the sand. It's not going back. But Hisella's best bet is like, I am going to get in this girl's head so bad. And she does do that. Because when Hisella argues with Anissa and Anissa argues with Hisella, based on their friendship and lack of or whatever, Hisella's going to sleep comfortably. Anissa may toss and turn. Anissa may be like sad about it or second guess herself. And I'm not saying Hisella did this as a strategy, but it is a decent strategy. If you are going in for sure and this person might go in, anything, I mean, this is the game. Anything you can do to mess them up mentally is a good thing. I don't think that was done on purpose. I think this was just Hisella wanting to assert her opinion, which is she's totally valid to do so. But, Anissa is going to be the one that's going to be cloudy when it comes to the competition. And if you are trying to win and if you're Hisella and you've already said goodbye to the friendship, you probably should lay it on, I mean, that stuff is, it plays an impact on how you perform. But I mean, again, at this point, this is just at the little lounge. This is not even to say that they are going, Anissa's going, but it's certainly, it was worth it for Hisella to do this. Doesn't reflect the greatest on Hisella, because it's a little much, but also, so what? I even sound like Hisella when I said that. So what? And Anissa, I think she's going to feel guilty or sad or mad, and even if Anissa doesn't go in, it's still in her, it's still there, which, that's the one thing about Anissa. She's a lovable character, but because she takes things so personally, which I could totally understand, she's got to be able to take it, clear it out of her head, and focus on trying to get to a final, which she has not been able to do, for some time. So this is really kind of a hindrance whether she goes in or not. Okay, so going on that, who is Nehemiah gonna choose? This is gonna be our last elimination, our last arena, which I always call the crater or the gauntlet. I actually always call it the gauntlet. Anyways, it's still an elimination. I never know, but I always feel like it should always be called the gauntlet. I feel like that's always the word for me, but it is an elimination. And it really is the moment that we do realize that this is right before the final. Everyone's so excited about the final. Hisella and Big Easy, of course, are up to play, of course, and then it's Nehemiah, but who's Nehemiah going to bring? I mean, I'm like, is Nehemiah going to bring Anissa? No, Nehemiah chooses Kendall. And I thought there was this thought process that, we don't necessarily as a cast want to bring in people who've already went in. Because, again, if I got voted in early and I earned my spot, I don't want to do it again and again and again and again. But if you're good, maybe that is because they want to take you out. It's a tough thing. I don't know if the House had a good, strong House decision, but maybe they did. I'm not really sure. But it sucks for Kendall for sure. And, I mean, it shows that she's a great game player, elimination. She's up for that challenge. And I think it tells a really good story about her tenacity, which is really, really great. Real quick, Yes proclaims that Nehemiah is being a bit hypocritical by picking Kendall. And this is kind of, as I'm saying, where I can see that is I think the choices are sometimes based on what benefits the competitor and not the whole game. So Nehemiah chooses this because he's like, well, I want somebody who's going to put me in the best position. That's Kendall. But then that goes against the betterment of the house if we're trying as a house not to pick somebody who didn't go in, and this was Yes saying it, which is interesting because Yes never got put in. And again, if that same principle applied for the guys' days, or if it was a women's day and they had to pick a guy, you would assume yes, it should be Yes. That's kind of the thing. So it's just I guess in that situation, yes, that was a possibility. A bit confusing in a good way. But yeah, Kendall is now Nehemiah's co-competitor and going up against Hisella and Big Easy. Okay, so the game is called Ring Cling. God, say that 18 times. Ring Cling. So basically you have to acquire the rings off this pole. It's kind of a moderately high duration. It's kind of tall. And then you've got to use each of these rings that are connected and put them on the wall to kind of make this ladder. There's no real explanation as to if the ladder or how to do it, but that's do whatever it takes to create a ladder to scale up this wall and try to get your big win. So as far as who agility, I'm like, oh my gosh, Hisella and Big Easy, this is not gonna look good. It seems like this is for the taking. Nehemiah and Kendall, it's a fast thing. It's with speed and duration and agility. So really you're thinking Nehemiah and Kendall all the way, right? But now here's where it gets interesting. TJ starts the elimination. Hisella like does her thing. She's working her butt off, and but the only thing is that butt that's attached to the knee, she falls down, and she does her own quick medical assessment, which even just the way she words stuff is so funny to me. Um, she comes down on the knee, and totally screws up her. I mean everything. I mean the knee is just jacked up, but she is kind of just trying to determine what she can do to stay in the game, and I think people, I think her knee got really jacked up, but I think people like want to make it like Hisella's like giving up. I assume that. I'm just saying maybe online, Twitter, maybe other competitors. So it was interesting that when she did go through that, again, I don't know what happened. Like it just is it just if you come down on the wrong the wrong part of your knee and your meniscus and all that stuff, can that happen? I mean, it just really sucked, and I totally thought she was going to lose. I felt like this was the end, but again, as the best wording she used was, and so I did a quick medical assessment, and then she found a way to hobble over, which was so great, so great. But again, I do think I think Hisella is the confessional queen. She hobbles over. Again, even though that happens, you're kind of like, well, this is still not going to affect Nehemiah and Kendall. It's just not. And it's just interesting that all of a sudden we start to see that Big Easy and Hisella are in the lead versus Nehemiah. And then that causes this moment where Nehemiah falls. Does Nehemiah fall because he was going to fall, or do you think there is a huge amount of pressure when you are the you're kind of looked at as like, wow, it's Nehemiah, it's Kendall, they should be the winners. Do you think you get more pressure sometimes when you see that you're losing? Maybe that's why he fell. You see that the other people who aren't that good, in comparison, I'm not saying they're bad, aren't that good, are going to, what do you call it? Like they're going to put pressure in a weird way, because you don't want to lose to somebody who shouldn't beat you. That's what I'm trying to say. Trying to understand it. But he falls, and you still think he's going to win. But no. Hisella, Big Easy, and Big Easy is talking all that shit. And to me, there's like that underdog moment where you're like, that's so awesome that they won. I felt so bad for Kendall, though. I felt bad for Nehemiah, but I think he did a good job. I love the way he played the game. I love his intensity. I love his enthusiasm. And he just got a bad break. I think he's still great to come on many other seasons. Kendall losing is a challenge, just knowing she went to so many eliminations, and that I think is what makes the game great, though, because again, I mentioned like you're able to lose people that you like. I wouldn't mind, even though I have my issues of like, let's get to the bottom of why Kendall has beef with people, but then yet she is edited or edits herself to be so meek and the underdog. Like I just don't understand. Something is not adding up to me, but. She's still really great, and you want her to win, and you want her to continue. You want her right there with Kellyanne. I think Kellyanne likes her. I think they should do well. So she goes. That's sad. That sucks, And I would be so mad, Gosh, you guys keep putting me into elimination. Of course, finally I lose one. And really, she didn't even really lose. Her teammate Nehemiah fell. She should have got mad at Nehemiah. But again, Nehemiah is great too, and that's the essence of the challenges. You have to let really good people go, and then you get some underdog situations. And I was happy for Big Easy because I wanted him to run a final. That's really awesome, And Hisella gets to run a final. At least I think, because I don't know if this causes any medical attention for where she went down on her leg, like what will materialize from this point type of thing. But nonetheless, it's still a cool moment. But I think it's a cool moment too, because this is that moment that you're so close to the final. So anyone who doesn't win this, devastated. Anyone who does win this, going to the final, so happy. And the finale plays out in two parts. And it gets so excited about that, because there's so many different ways they could do it. And you're thinking like, when you watch the Challenge Allstars versus the Challenge, the Double Agents, like the current 36 or season 37 or whatever, those seasons are done in such a way. And the Challenge Allstars has managed to be so different. So now I'm kind of curious to see what this final looks like, because I don't think it's going to look exactly like what you're used to seeing. Just like the show itself isn't the same as the MTV younger version. This All-Star version is different. So it's a very exciting final. You don't know what to expect. You don't know if it's based in duration. You don't know if it's based in there's just so many unanswered questions, and it gets everyone excited. A good amount of people still in the game, people that we like, and people that possibly could have snuck under the radar to a degree, but not really. Like, I really like everybody here, but I think that's also because it was a really good casted group. Episode 8, Episode 9, 2-part finale on the way. Another random recap for the Challenge All-Stars. That is the end of this one. All right, bye.